Over again. So this is part two of this video about looking at research and secondary research. So we started off and we've looked at a couple of bits of the beginning of your research project, and we've reached the methodology point. So methodology is going to be what you're going to do. Okay, so you've now highlighted what you want to go and look at in your research project, and now it's okay. So how are you going to go do this? Um, Now, the expectation is generally based on the um, experience. My experience of doing this unit is that you're going to go do your lit review, which is your secondary research, and then you're going to go do some research yourself, probably via a survey. And you're just going to need to think about, okay, so how are you going to do it? And then you're answering these type of questions. Okay, so how are you going to find it out? What steps are you going to take? Why have you chosen, for example, a survey over any of the other methods? And I appreciate that I haven't given you a lecture on that right now, but um, it's not rocket science to work out that other methods to a survey could be things like observation, interview, and so on. So why a survey over those? How long do you think these things are going to take? And I can tell you based on experience that collecting the data and analyzing the data is probably a week's worth of work. Um, I say probably. I mean, for some people, it may well be more. And guys, if you leave this to the last minute, you are royally stuffed. I can't stress that enough because you've got to go out and find out this stuff. And your classmates are going to have to be exceedingly generous if you're coming up to them on the day that this is due and be like, "Oh, I've got all this to do," because they've got other things to do with their time as well. So you're going to have this ready ultimately. What are the constraints? Constraints or anything that stop you doing whatever you want. Um, so some obvious ones, things like money. I'm not giving you any money to do this project. College isn't going to give you any money to do this project. So there's going to be a load of stuff out there that is behind paywalls. How are you going to deal with that? Um, and I'm not talking about you go and finding and acquiring it illegally. Okay, we're talking about, okay, so what are the alternatives? Okay, so if a report is behind a paywall, well, is there an alternative report that is not behind a paywall? Is there something else that you could potentially use? Okay, you could have any other kind of considerations, such as, do you need any specialist software to do what you need to do? So, these are just some prompts, guys, prompts for you to think about things that you're going to have to talk about. Okay, so if you're saying, oh, I'm going to do surveys, why? Okay, so what's the benefit of using something like SurveyMonkey? Okay, or Google Forms or whatever. Okay, or Microsoft Forms. You're then going to need to go and do your literature review. So I'm moving on to this reasonably quickly because obviously the literature review is probably going to be the single biggest thing that you spend the most time on in this project. And it's going to require several hours of you going and reading. It's going to require several hours of you analyzing what you're reading, and deciding what is useful and what is not useful. You'll need to make sure that you are avoiding this whole kind of process of looking at other people's research solely to try and back up your own opinion. You need this wide range of research to see what's out there. Okay. Um, you need to be doing the literature review before you do your own research. I mean, this should be reasonably obvious, okay? Because you need to develop an understanding of what has already been researched, and that is, will help guide your own research, but also you don't really want to be repeating stuff that other people have already done. If there've been 40 people that have gone and researched X topic, well, but you probably don't need to go and do it yourself. You can probably use their research in your analysis, and you can then ask something else in your survey. Okay, because your survey is not going to be, it's going to be lengthy enough, but it's not going to be massive. Um, so yeah, I put on here your literature review will be somewhere between 20 to 30% of your document. So it's 30% of your document is going to be roughly 1,000 words. Now, I believe that you're more likely to go over the 30% than you are to be under it. If you're under it, then you are almost certainly not done enough research. So you're going out there, you're looking at what other people have done, you're looking at what other people have said, you're linking it to your initial question, what is your project about? So it's not just, oh, I find this interesting. It's okay, does this help me answer my initial question? So you're actually talking about stuff that is relevant to your project and not just kind of like, oh, yes, well, I quite like this topic and therefore I'm going to rattle on about it forever, even though it's not relevant to my research project. That doesn't earn you any marks. It's if you are finding stuff that is relevant that will help you answer your research project. Excuse me, my voice is getting a bit croaky. That is, what you're looking for. And excuse me. So you're going to need a wide range of references. This is how it works. You'll need a wide range of references from several sources, and they include websites, journals, textbooks, and so on. So yes, there are requirements if you want to get a higher grade. Now that may sound daunting, maybe, oh, a textbook, oh my God, I have to read a book. What you may well find is that there are a number of textbooks that have been turned into PDFs you could use, or you're just gonna have to visit a library, guys. I mean, it's what is expected of people who are doing your type of course. It could be colleges, or it could be something like Athens. It is expected of you to do background reading. Um, and yeah, I mean, you may not be used to reading, but I'm sorry that's just what needs to happen. And there's loads of um, resources in around both the um, campuses that we have, um, but you're going to need to find that, and you're going to need time to find it. And it may who knows may well be you need to sign up for the library. There's a great big whacking library in Central Milton Keynes that you can sign up to for free. You may well need to do that. And like I said, it's maybe like, oh, that's unrealistic, but this is what you will need to do, guys, if you go up to a higher level course, and indeed this level course. You have to go and do a wide range of research because websites are notoriously fickle. Okay, so for example, I've got a couple of websites here, Wikipedia and Reddit. If you're quoting from these, that is poor quality quotes. Now, Wikipedia, there are ways around the poor quality quotes because obviously Wikipedia is not a good place to be quoting from because anybody can edit it. However, usually in Wikipedia, there are links at the bottom of the Wikipedia page that take you to somewhere where it has been referenced from. So you obviously would then go to that page and then you use that reference, assuming it's a good quality reference. Reddit is just not somewhere that you would be ever quoting. I mean, I've got those on there as like throwaway kind of things. You wouldn't be using, a discussion forum or anything like that. It's just not a place to be referencing from, and it's a very kind of easy trap to fall into if you are using just websites. A really good place. Sorry about that. So yeah, Google Scholar is a really good place to. I can't remember exactly where I got up to, but I had to pause the video very quickly. Google Scholar is a really good place to look for resources. Okay, and when you search for stuff in Google Scholar, you will find a range of materials out there that will help you to um, answer whatever question you're trying to find out, and it'll give you academic resources. Now, like I said, I won't lie, some of these are behind paywalls, and you do have to be careful about that. Some of it will ask you to sign up to resources. I mean, that's not entirely unreasonable. If something is letting you download their materials, I mean, to sign up to it is not necessarily particularly unreasonable. You may want to use your college account for that. I mean, obviously, then you're not going to get spammed at your personal account. So do use these things. So one thing I mentioned previously, okay, is you need to be making sure that when you're doing your literature review, you are doing it from a detached manner. So, for example, you're not doing this. This whole process is not designed just to back up your own opinion. You are looking at it from, okay, this is what's out there. It's not your opinion that you're talking about. So you're not saying, oh, this is what they say, but I think this. Okay, because that's not relevant at this point. It's not relevant. Okay, you will have a chance to come to conclusions later in the research project, Right now, it is what does the literature review say? What does the literature out there tell you? Okay, so you're going out there and you are discussing it in a detached manner, in third person. Okay, third person narrative, not I. Again, you're saying they, them, and you're trying to look at a range of opinion, which look at a whole different range of stuff that you may not agree with. Okay, but that's just what you have to do because that's how you get these balanced views. You know, so just because you think X happens to be true, you must also consider research from sources, A, B, C, D, whatever. Okay, you need to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be a very biased report. It's not going to be worth very much. Biased reports are not worth very much. Um, you need to get used to doing lit reviews. Because if you're going up to higher education, a lit review is a whole thing by itself. I mean, I must, from a personal perspective, I always enjoy doing lit reviews. I mean, if you have chosen a topic that you are interested in, then a literature review should not be a particular hardship. And maybe you're looking at this topic in more depth than you would have done previously. But if you've chosen a topic that you're interested in, then you going away and reading up on this stuff is not a big issue, really. Um, and yeah, okay, it will take you a long time. Okay, it's not something that you can really do in an hour. It's not something you can really do in 2 hours. It's something that you are going to need to take several hours over. And indeed, I've got it on this slide. How about that? So if you're not taking several hours to complete this literature review, I would be concerned. Okay, in terms of you're not looking at a sufficient number of resources. So just because you read a couple of resources doesn't mean you're doing a sufficient literature review. It doesn't mean you've looked at a sufficient range of materials. If you're doing this properly, you are looking at 20, 30 resources across a range of different things. Like I said, books, journals, websites, all of that. Maybe podcasts. I'm happy for you to quote podcasts. And I would highly recommend. I've only got a couple of minutes left on this one. I'd highly recommend you log everything that you do, so that if you need it later, further down the line, it's easy for you to find again. If you looked at a website, I like that, then save it, put it into a Word document, easy reference for future. Whereas if you look at a site, you think, okay, well that's interesting, but I don't need that information right now. Log it, and then you can use it further down the line. Happy days. Just create a table. However you want to lay it out, it's however you want to lay it out. You're the captain of your ship, so to speak, in terms of that. All right. So this is predominantly for my own students. For anybody else who's looking at this, obviously this may or may not be useful for you guys. So the task is to start working on your research project up to your literature review, which I would imagine would take you, like I said, a week. I'll be surprised if it wouldn't take you up to a week. Everything I've said on here are things that I've already mentioned. If you are, and these are all guides, right, in terms of words. One of the things you are going to need to learn to balance out is if you have a great big word count like 3,000. It's okay. So Mike says it's going to be 20 to 30%. So therefore, it's going to be around about 1,000. If you go 100 over, 100 under, then you're going to need to balance that out over the course of your writing. That's up to you. Okay, you're going to have to sit there and be like, okay, so I'm going to have to lose some words here. I'm going to have to add some words here, whatever it might be. Okay, so I do think that the literature review should be well underway during this week. I do also intend to add some information about the primary research. Some people may get onto that before the end of this week. It depends how many hours they put into it, really. If they're just putting in the hours at college, then you're probably not. And then it's going to backdate until you're going to have a lot more work to do towards the end of the term. Anyway, I'm going to finish this video because I've only got a few seconds left. So hopefully this was useful. Do let me know if there are any questions moving forward. Thank you.